Hey guys, welcome back to Sip and Dip with Chelsea. Tragedy has struck and I have cracked my nail and it was pretty painful. So I do not want to chop these down that far. It's so close to my nail bed still. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to fix this with a common household item and dip powder. This nail hack has been around for many years, so I take no credit for this. This is a tea bag. So we're going to use this tea bag to patch our nail. I'm also going to be using Kiara Sky's dip liquids because it is a faster dry liquid and I don't want this to take too long while it dries on my nail. You can also use a nail glue if you don't have dip powder liquids on hand. With some scissors, I'm just going to cut off a little edge here on my bag, and then you only need one side, so I'm going to cut off 1/2 of this. The amount you need is going to vary depending on how big your crack is or how many, and because I have 2, that's why I cut off this much. Now I'm just sizing it against the crack. I want to make sure that it's larger than the crack so that it has something to grab onto on my nail plate. I'm just repeating these steps for the other side of my nail. Obviously, if you only have one crack, you're only going to need one patch. Now with my glass cuticle pusher, I'm going to start gently pushing back my cuticle and getting my nails ready for the dip powder application. So I am starting my prep routine before I do the patches so that once they're dry, everything is ready and we can get started with the dip powder on top. You have lots of options of what you can do on top of these patches. It doesn't necessarily have to be dip powder. You can also do nail polish, gel polish, builder gel, but for me, I'm gonna show y'all how I do dip powder. Once I'm done pushing back the cuticle, I'm just cleaning everything out with the other side. I'm just going to dust off that excess, and now I'm going to file my nail with my glass nail file. You can use whatever you're comfortable with, whether that be an emery board file or what have you. I'm just going to make sure everything is nice and smooth and ready. Then I'm going to use my buffing block to remove the shine from my nail. So this is going to help remove anything left on my nail plate and also smooth out those cracks so that those patches have something to grab onto. I'm being very gentle. I am not applying any pressure. Here's how we're looking. We're gonna dust it all off. And then with my Bond, I'm going to apply this to the entire nail to cleanse it of any oils. You can also use a dehydrator or whatever you have on hand. Now we're ready for our patch. So I've got my dip base. You can also use your nail glue. I'm just removing the excess product. We're going to apply it across the crack and also further out. So go further out from the crack so that the patch has something to grab onto. When I apply this patch, I do have some of it going on the outer edge. So that free edge area, you're gonna see I have a lot of that on the edge. That's so it can fill the crack there as well, which we will shape later. So just gently pressing it down into the base liquid, making sure I don't get my skin in the base liquid. Then I'm going to use this flat side of my orange wood stick to also gently lay it flat. You can use a toothpick as well. I'm going to repeat these steps for the other crack, so applying my base liquid all around it, making sure I go further out, laying my patch on there, keeping some of that on the edge so I can also fill that outer edge, and then with my orange wood stick, just gently pressing it down. All right, here's how we're looking. Now with our base liquid again, we're going to apply it across the patches and a little bit further out. This is going to help harden those patches. This is when you would also use your nail glue if that's what you're using. So we're gonna go right over top of our patches and let it dry. I'm just fully saturating the patch and also going a little bit further out to help blend out those edges. Then we're going to let this fully dry. Once it's dry, I'm going to trim off a little bit of those edges with my cuticle nippers. And I'm showing you here, it is completely dry. You can touch it, it is hardened. What I love about this process is it doesn't have much of a ridge here. You'll see it's already pretty much blended down, but just to make sure that it's nice and fully blended, we're going to ever so slightly and gently buff the patches to make sure we don't have any ridges when we go in for our dip powder. I'm focusing the buffing block around the edges of the patches primarily to make sure there aren't any ridges. At this point, when you're done, you would go in with your nail polish, your gel polish, or whatever you're wanting to do. So I'm going to show you how I start on my dip powder. I'll be using Kiara Sky's Natural. You can also use clear, and we're going to build up an apex. So I'm going to start by going a little bit here in the center of my nail, not all the way over to my sidewalls, just building up a very small gradual apex. Then dipping into the natural and tapping off. I see it looks a little wet still, so I'm going to dip right back in and tap off the excess. Once it's fully dry, we're going to dust it off and go in for our second layer. The second layer goes a little bit further back and almost to those sidewall area. This is gradually building up an apex. If you want to skip this, you absolutely can. You can go right in for your color dip powder on top of your patches. It's totally up to you on how you want to go about it. Once it's fully dry, then I'm going to dust it off. Now for my third and final layer, we're going to do a full coat coverage, so guiding that liquid all the way back and dragging the excess liquid down. So I'm going to coat the entire nail, paying close attention that I'm getting to those sidewalls and really covering up that crack. So see, I'm pulling my skin back. I want to make sure I get the liquid all the way over to those edges, but not on my skin. So paying close attention to my cracks and my stress point on my nail so that I fully cover it in liquid and dipping into the powder. Once it's fully dry, I'm going to dust it off and we are done with the dip powder. So now with my activator, I'm going to apply a very generous layer of this, fully saturating the nail to make sure it penetrates through those patches. We're gonna let this dry for 2 minutes and then file and shape. With the 180 grit side of my nail file, I'm just going to go around my free edge area first. This is going to smooth out those excess edges that we had of our tea bags. I'm just making sure it's nice and smooth there. And then we can go over top with a buffing block. Again, this is going to serve as my base so that I can do peel base on top or I can do color dip powder on top, but I just want to provide some sort of strength over my patches so that I don't accidentally do that again. Now with my buffing block, I'm just going to smooth everything out. It doesn't take a whole lot of work. Everything laid down beautifully. And then when I'm done with that, we're going to dust it all off. Next, I'm going to apply another layer of my Seal and Protect, aka activator, just fully saturating the nail. And we're going to let this dry again for 2 minutes. Then with a dry napkin, I'm going to rub it across the entire top surface of the nail and go in for top coat. For top coat, my first layer is going to be 3 quick strokes on the nail. That's it. It doesn't need to be perfect, just 3 quick strokes, and we're going to let this dry. Then the second layer is going to be more precise and detailed, so getting all the way over to those edges and really focusing again on those cracks. See, I'm pulling my skin back. I want to make sure we are really protecting those cracks and those patches, so cap off that free edge to seal it all in. Now I'm going to let the top coat dry and then apply some cuticle oil. All right, y'all, we're all done. That is a very quick and easy way to patch a crack. So now I can do peel base on top, do some color dip powder on top, gel polish, what have you. And again, you don't have to do dip powder. You could do builder gel over a patch, gel polish, nail polish, whatever you want to do. This is a universal trick. I did not come up with this. I wish I did, but I take no credit. These tea bag patches work beautifully, so now my nail can grow out and not be painful when I trim it back. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found today's video helpful, and I will see y'all next week.